you guys that are here, excuse me, you're going to get the benefit of a bonus quiz. How's that? So, I like doing bonus quizzes on Friday. So, nothing to lose. Kind of extra credit for being here. Kind of a sweet, if you get it right, of course. So, couple things. Let me click on another article that I've got here. Watch out, your company could soon be junk. Oops, I didn't mean to do it that way, but anybody know what that means by any chance?
Junk bond?
Yeah.
I remember
Heard the term. You know how I kind of mentioned that bonds and companies get rated and their bonds then have a status. Kind of, and I mentioned, like J&J, Microsoft, and maybe Exxon are about the only three companies that are AAA rated. The U.S. government is only AA minus or something like that, I think. So actually a worse rating than some of the corporations that are doing business here. Junk bonds, then, there's a level. This will make a good quiz next week. So, okay, there's a level at which below which we consider it to be junk bonds. So, triple B are considered investment grade, triple B and above. So triple B, and then you jump right up to A, and then there's A plus and A, A, there's all kinds of pluses and minuses, and A, big A. Each agency, there's three agencies, and they can be a little bit different in how they actually display their ratings, but they're pretty similar. One might give you a capital A and a little a, and that's like an A plus, and capital A is double A, right? So anyhow, from triple B all the way up to triple A is considered investment grade. Anything below that's considered a junk bond. Does that have a lot of meaning? Yeah, not a ton. Obviously, if you're looking for bonds, you want to probably find some that are the highest rated for the best rate that you can get. But there's companies, you can buy mutual funds, basically a mutual fund, for example, that invests in nothing but junk bonds. And those actually do not that poorly. Well, why is that? Well, they're buying a gazillion junk bonds. Are some of them going to go broke every year? Oh, yeah. Some of those companies are going to go broke, and they're going to have to write those bonds off. But the other ones might be paying, 3, 4, 5, 6% as opposed to the 1 or 2%. Like I was telling Carl, Microsoft can probably borrow a 10-year money at 1% interest right now. 1.25%, something like that. We were talking about bonds in the world. There's listening to, I think, CNBC, there's over $17 trillion of negative yield bonds out there in the world right now. Countries that have issued bonds, and people are actually paying the country to leave their money with that particular nation. I think Germany in particular. And the reason for that, Germany has a very strong economy, very strong balance sheet, on and on and on. And so they're considered very much a safe haven, so people are willing to put their money there. But it's also one of the reasons the U.S., even though our bonds, we keep talking about how low they are, relative to a lot of the rest of the world, our bond rates are actually fairly high. And not necessarily because of risk, because of our Fed policy, but that's actually also attracting a lot of capital. We're getting a lot of investment from China, Japan, other nations that are coming here and investing in the U.S., okay, because we do have relatively high rates right now. And again, I was talking a little bit, I don't know, Carl and Alec might have heard me, but when I started in banking, and Luke might appreciate this, but I think some of the very first loans that I made, consumer type credit, were over 20% interest. That was the going rate back at that time. And, regular commercial loans, house loans, they were all double digits, 10, 12, 14, 16%. Rates were that high back then. If you went back and looked at that history, that was kind of in the mid-'80s. They were really on their way down. I got to admit that they were on their way down. Rates had gone up at the very early 80s, the very start of the Reagan administration. Rates went up, and then they were starting to come down, but still some of those first loans I made were pretty high. Anybody have any questions on the assignments?
Yeah, I had one on the last one.
Okay.
3:30.
Okay. I'll come around then. If it's an individual one like that, I'll just come around. We'll take a look at it. Right?
Cool.
to give you guys kind of a little insight that maybe individually into that, make you think about it a little bit. In fact, my bonus quiz that I have is somewhat related to that 313. So, okay, no other kind of general questions. I had one more question for you guys. Has anybody picked out a company yet that they would like to? Because that probably next week I'll probably make that an official assignment. It's not a tough assignment by any means, right? But be thinking about that, because probably next week I'm going to ask you guys all to just select a company. And probably about next week we might get started on project 1 too. So nobody has a company selected yet. So be thinking about that. Okay, be looking
I
for
was gonna do, will you look up Zoetis? Is that like medical?
Zoetis.
Yeah, it's Zoetis, but it's like, it doesn't have their own, like their ticker is like NY, it's like the New York NYSE, and then
There's a
and you go like Zoetis Health. It's like TIS.
Like here?
Sure.
That's Zoetis Health?
I believe they said Zoetis, but.
It's a global animal health company dedicated
Yep.
to supporting customers in their business better ways. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. I'll try to find out what the ticker is. Probably going to tell us over here. It does seem like maybe I've heard of that before, but 5.82 billion in revenue, so yeah. Looks like they mostly work with veterinarians and whatnot, so that might be an interesting one. Okay. Nice small company that's probably got a really specific product pipeline, so yeah, probably wouldn't be that hard to analyze, so good. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, quiz. Bonus quiz, and you guys, if you got homework and stuff you're working on, do that first, because that's due, right? So get that done. But then hopefully if you have some time by the end of the day, and I'd like this done by the end of the day. Now for folks that are listening to this, obviously I'll let you guys email the answer to me if you want to. Those distance students, few distance students that we have. So here's kind of the setup, right? Okay, we got a company that has, you want to write this down or put it in your, because I'm not gonna, company that has sales, tried to make the numbers easy here and work pretty good. Sales of $1 million. A profit margin of 10%. An ROE of 12.5%. And an ROA of 5%. And I can leave this up for you guys in class because the distance students can hit pause and go back and look at it. So I'll leave this up for you guys and I'll kind of sign out here so they don't have to listen to me rattle on at all. So, okay. Then how much debt does the company have? That's a dollar figure. You're going to be looking for a dollar figure there. All right, so you distance students, feel free to just email that to me. And I'm signing off.